Hi, it's Andre, and well, I'm flying, and it's cold. So I thought I'd take 30 seconds before I get out flying and talk about some of the things you want to think about when you're outside cold weather flying. One, coverage. I've learned the hard way over many years to keep my hands nice and cold, warm, I should say, or covered. Believe it or not, it's not the flying where your fingers get cold, especially if you take the right precautions. It's the in-between stuff, loading the batteries in and everything like that. But so I wear gloves. And then when I really need to get warmed up, I wear mittens. Obviously hats, good jacket, and I'm wearing thermals under my jeans to keep myself nice and warm. And one thing I love, and it's kind of unfortunate you can't really find these right now, or at least I haven't been able to find them in a while, is a really good transmitter net. And if you're really sneaky and crazy, you can actually heat these things up. But this I find works really well. In fact, you'll see in some videos if it's cold enough, hands are generating enough heat that it fogs up from the condensation from the warmth of your hands. So that's pretty cool. The other thing you're wanting to consider is how you take care of your batteries. And Tony Stewart, right? Awesome, right? It's a cooler. It's a little portable beer cooler. In the really cold, extreme weather stuff, I actually will take gel packs, heat them up in the microwave, and put them in. And what I like about this thing is I can actually open the top and access my batteries without letting out too much cold. And you can keep your batteries. You can keep your batteries inside your jacket if you really want to keep them warm, but they actually have to be up against your body if you really want to keep them warm. And depending on the layers in your jacket, that actually might not work out well. So that said, I keep batteries in the cooler, keeps them warm, keeps them away from the exposure, keep them inside the car, which has probably got a little bit of ambient heat, a little bit more than right now because I've got the thing open. And then I adjust my flying time. That's the biggest thing that I've learned over the years. You know, if I have an airplane that flies for 5 or 6 minutes, I'm almost cutting that in half. Get enough in there, that way your fingers are good and happy and flying. And know your remote. It sounds silly, but practice with the controls. There's my flaps, there are my rates. And be sure you can actually reach those throws and grab them when you need to in case you get into a situation, because your dexterity, I find my dexterity, my hands are getting old and they're, I'm old now, what can I say? But work on your dexterity, know how to fly that airplane, and be familiar with it. That way when things start getting a little sluggish and everything, go and you'll be able to fly it and land it's the big thing. And I like in the winter, I don't hand toss planes unless they're like UMX micros or something like that, because I don't want my hands to get so cold because I don't have a mitt, or and flying with the gloves on and stuff like that, you lose the dexterity. That's where these kind of mitts that flip open are kind of nice, but again, your digits are exposed. So there you go. Layers, coverage, reheat your hands after you've flown that way before, in between sessions. Keep your batteries nice and warm. Reduce your flying time. Know your airplane, but ultimately just watch yourself and only fly a few times. If you know the temperatures are dropping and everything and you're starting to freeze up, limit how much you're flying and just go from there. So, all right, enough of those tips. Let's take the Avios Bush Mule, which is on skis, throw in a 4S 3300 and do a quick little flight. That's just dust, I assume. So I can already tell you, just from doing that little intro video, my fingers are cold. I can feel them freezing up, so I'm going to be really careful. Alright, high rates, because that's what I like this airplane on. Now, the batteries, as I said, I'm going to open this thing up, prep it, but if it was really cold, like extreme cold, I would be putting a gel pack into this thing, as I mentioned, and that just keeps them nice and warm. And now that that's open, like I said, I can pop that open and I can get the batteries, and it's just an extra layer to keep them warm. Now, these are just out of the house and everything from the ride, and normally I wouldn't have my car open. I wouldn't actually be prepping in my car either, because space is limited. And like I said, the problem with setting up an airplane for flight is your hands get exposed for majority of the time while you're setting up the airplane. So that is something to be really aware of. Whew. And sorry for the sniffles, it is cold. Temperature wise, I think we're at like -11 with the wind chill. And it's not that windy, but like you can see my fingers are they're cold. So all right. I wouldn't even normally arm this thing in the side of a car. It's probably pretty stupid if something goes wrong. Okay. Gloves back on. The nice thing about the transmitter mitt too is it keeps some of the elements off the radio, so you can actually put the thing down and not worry about it. If you're wondering, no, your cameras don't last in the cold either. This is not bad, but I know for a fact that one of my other cameras just will not take on the cold. If you can work with gloves on, even better, because that just protects your skin for that much more. Oh, and we'll call this snow time etiquette. The objective is to try and minimize how much trails and tracks you put into the field. So I'm actually going to use tracks that were used already by people, fly through that. So I'm going to stand right out here. The track is, well, I don't know, somewhere out there. Nice thing with good skis too is they soak up a lot of that. All right, checking the wind one more time. So, there we go. Huh? What is it doing? Alright, check the wind. That way, actually. Towards the school. It's minimal. Bush mule. I was in takeoff without flaps. I'm at 100% rates and 30% expo. That's a 4S 3300, and we're out flying in the winter. So like I said, exercise caution. It's good to fly and everything, but like I said, it's not the beginning of the flight where you'll start losing your sensitivity in your fingertips. It's towards the end. But Bushmule is a very forgiving aircraft, and I've flown it in the winter before, so I'm confident with it. I can actually feel the wind doing its thing and everything. And, oh yeah, look at that. Of course, I take off and the wind picks up, but it's such a nice airplane. Just gonna crab it in with the wind. A little bit of crosswind now. I can feel it coming off the back of my ears. You know what I didn't bring? My little ear muff protector, so my ears are getting cold flying. First flight of the winter season, and I'm woefully unprepared by my standards. Winter's not a reason not to fly. I'm almost envious of the guys who get the indoor fly, but at the same time, this is nice. And like I said, a battery or two, and relax the flying standards, and reduce that air time, and just recover in between flights. So as soon as I'm done shooting this, before I put the second pack in, I'll probably throw my toque on. Yes, I said toque. Blow my ears out, and take it from there. What a plane! I like the Bushmule. I love the colors in the V2. Red and white really pop. The yellow was nice in the V1. Red and white on the Sky Mule was my favorite. I'm shivering. It's cold, even with this nice jacket. And believe it or not, I have even a heavier jacket, which probably would have been superb. And with my good socks on, my good boots, and my thermals underneath the jeans, I'm actually very comfortable. Just because I'm not moving around, I'm starting to shiver. And obviously you can see that. Well, you might not see it in the camera. My head is jiggling because I'm cold. Woo! Love that crosswind flight. Flying at just over half throttle in the wind. And again, some people won't say the battery packs are affected. I believe they are. I believe that they kind of act a little bit more sluggish, but that could also be the pilot. But so from my perspective, I just kind of just take it easy. I try not to get myself into situations where, the power is absolutely needed, but it's there. I guess once the pack warms up, I suppose. You could have an issue where, it's just not enough power. Let's see if we can fly here and get a little close. Woo! And I'm also flying with only one camera on board and one on my hat, and that's just because it's one less thing for me to look after in the cold. The batteries on these cameras tend to get a little too cold just sitting around, and then it's just something else to fuss over, and then my hands get exposed and I get cold. So the video editing might be a little bit more simple, you know, a little bit of overlay between the two cameras and then go. But we're having a good conversation about winter flying. Oh yeah. All right. Woo. All right. Woo. Feel or hear. Well, you probably can't. Maybe I'll just, you know, pop one of the audio tracks from the camera, but the wind is blowing across my back, but it's still sunny, which is really. Oh, look at the shadow. Oh, I love that. Ooh. Oh. All right, remember what I said about reducing those times? I can feel my fingertips starting to get numb. So, I'm gonna bring this thing in, I'll land it, I'm gonna warm up. Oh yeah. Woo. Boy, I can feel the wind fighting me. I can feel the numbness in my fingertips. Oh, see? Look at that. Lost focus and concentration and thumped my plane over. So the camera's in the snow, the wing's upside down, the nose cone came off. So I got the orientation wrong. Look at the front gear. It dug in and popped itself. I'll have to have a look at that. So, woo. Oh, come here, plane. Oh, everything's cold. You gotta watch the props in the winter and everything. We have to get the screwdriver out. Oh, and everything's locked. It's fine. I just have to change that front end. Okay. Okay, Toucan. Woo, 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 woo. Okay, it's cold. Yeah, so you saw that. Fingers got numb at the end, got caught in the wind. It happens. No damage to the airplane other than the, I gotta readjust that front landing gear. But I don't do repairs outside in the winter. I'll be back in the winter no time. I always check around before I lost anything, but Bush was a good tough aircraft. So, there you go. Quick winter flying tutorial tip, whatever you want to call it. My fingers are numb, but I'm going to try and fly 2 more airplanes because why not? Look at that, shaking. The camera is absolutely shaking. I'm Andre. It's the winter. It's beautiful. No reason not to fly. Just take all those precautions and have a little bit of fun. Lips are frozen. Thanks for watching.